Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. One of my viewers commented that I had a time in my life when I had 8 near-miss car accidents within the space of a couple of weeks. I thought I would elaborate on that a little bit because I'm not exactly proud of it, but I'm glad I had that phase in my life because good things have come out of it. And I got to point out that nobody was hurt from the near miss car accident. They were near misses for good reason because um, I kept it that way. What had happened was that my life spun out of control. I had made a minor enemy at a couple of we had a couple of meetup groups in common, and he flipped my entire reputation upside down at both of those meetups. And at the same time, I had just recovered from long COVID. There was a summer heat wave during that time, and I desperately needed to connect with people because I didn't want to go through that again, and I didn't know where to start. And at the same time, I had a job that I loved, but I didn't like the commute. Um, Leave a comment. How many people here can say that the hardest part of your job is the commute? That has been the sentiment I have had at quite a few jobs actually in my life. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but let's see. I teach at Glendale Community College. I did, this is one college out of a whole system of them. But even the other jobs, I talked about as much as I talked about toxicity I had with management. I was working at a tutoring center. I loved all of the students there. I think I could have tolerated a lot of that toxicity if it weren't for the commute and all the other crap that has to come with the work. You got to remember, a lot of times my boss would give me really uncertain hours. But you know what? If there weren't a commute, if a job that started at 2 o'clock literally started at 2, I probably could have tolerated a lot of that uncertainty. And and then I had a couple of situations where I was getting ready to, well, one of my colleagues at the last job at Central Arizona College had wanted to set me up on this date with this girl, but things kept we kept running into difficulty. Let's put it that way. I don't know if she was messing with me or something, and there were a few other things that went up and down like that, and I couldn't focus anymore. And I I became lost. Actually, to give you an idea how lost I was, at that last job, I buried my head in my work, and I got some of the best performance reviews I ever got. But then I would get in my as soon as class would end, and I would open the door to that to walk out of the classroom and walk out of the campus, the entire world just slammed in my face like a ton of bricks, and that went on for several weeks. I was so lost. Eventually, I offered a reward for anybody who could set me up on a blind date, and I ended up paying out several rewards. And that was some of the best money I ever spent, actually, because the my friend at church put me on that first one, and then there was a Asian cultural meetup group that put me on the second one, and then there were a few others. And it's funny because the ones that I paid for actually didn't go anywhere, but they gave me the confidence to go after others, right? Now, during the time when I got into 8 near-miss car accidents, I thought this was it. And I even welcomed the idea that I may be going to visit Mary Curry in heaven in the near future because I kind of welcome that because you got to remember the tangle of a mess I was in. I was worried about the next summer when I had COVID-19 during a heat wave. At the same time, I couldn't network with the right people. Everybody was making fun of me. There's a lot of things that weren't going right. My grandmother had just passed away. I was in a huge jam at the time. That the idea of just going to heaven and seeing Mary Curry and being done with this chapter of my life, I kind of welcomed, actually. Thank God it didn't play out that way. My grandmother passed away, and I asked my grandmother to go talk to Mary Curry to have her set me up on a blind date. And so And then I was in Taiwan when I met the girl in Taiwan, but I came to realize that wasn't the blind date that Mary Curry was going to set me up with. Anyways, it's ongoing. I recently found how to contact her granddaughter, Mary Curry's granddaughter, Helene. She's 97 years old. I may see her soon. I'm in a little bit of a conundrum right now, though. Ever since returning to the dating scene, a lot of this is kind of foreign to me, and a lot of ups and downs. And for the first time in my career at the community college, I've been getting really bad reviews because I've been lost in thought. What really sucks is that it's very difficult for me to tell my colleagues or my boss that the reason I've been lost is because of my dramas in my dating life, right? I was just thinking other things that one might run into, right? If I were dealing with long COVID, I would definitely tell my colleagues, right? If I just had a death in the family, I would talk about that, right? If I had a family member who had some kind of drama, alcoholism, or my parents just got divorced, I would talk about it. If I had, I had a few classmates who unfortunately have overdosed on drugs, and I had one classmate who unfortunately took his own life. If I had a family member who took their own life, I'd probably talk about it, right? If I attempted to take my own life over the weekend, I'd probably talk about that too, right? But dating drama is so weird that I just have to live with it alone and unfortunately deal with all the repercussions of distraction at work on my own, right? That's what really sucks about it, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.